The show where there are no penalties, nothing is offside, and everything is fair game. This is The Gloves Are Off.
Hello and welcome to another edition of The Gloves Are Off. I'm Moses Wilderman. Hope you guys had a great long weekend. Of course, there was a lot going on here in the border city, or more so at the lakes. This guy coming back from the lake, at least a few days off from work.
No lake.
Tirelessly
working. No lake, but I did go get some arts, some culture. Went to the play.
Oh, that's right. You saw The Lion King, did you not?
I went. Took the girlfriend to see The Lion King.
And the thing was, you persuaded her, not the other way around.
Exactly. She never saw it before. I'm like, how do you want to see The Lion King? Like, I have to rethink about this relationship, maybe.
Andrew Brethauer, my co-host, of course, Lloydminster Source, sports editor as well. He's joined by this man beside him to his left. Well known around these parts just a little bit, talking to Braden Holtby, the goalie for the Washington Capitals, of course, coming off a great season, a lot of career highs, including a nice little long-term contract for you. And A, you got to be excited about that, and B, tell us about it.
Yeah, it was a fun year. A lot of changes in our organization, and we got that culture back where it was a lot of fun to be there, and hopefully be there for years to come now.
And that's certainly exciting, knowing that with your team, you look at what the Capitals have done in this offseason, you securing a good, nice 5-year deal. Things seem to be coming up Washington's way, at least, knowing what's going on with the structure of the NHL. Now, transferring that to, say, baseball, you look at the Toronto Blue Jays, a team that has obviously a historic success, but of recent, 2 decades, it's been non-existent until recently. If you look at GM Alex Anthopoulos, he knew this could be his last year, not knowing where Paul Beeston, the actual owner of the team, will be, or the president of the team will be. So he's like, you know what, the heck with it. Let's try to make this team what it is. And the often pragmatic Anthopoulos made some great moves and definitely an A++ in terms of who he brought. One, Troy Tulowitzki, out of nowhere. That was a deal was in the works, but you didn't think that was going to happen at the trade deadline. Everyone's like, great, but you need somebody else. You need pitching. They picked up some depth guys in the bullpen, and they also picked up a starter in Mr. David Price. You look at these moves now, and where the Blue Jays' offense is, which is statistically gross. We'll start with you, Braden. Is this team officially a title contender, now tied for the wild card spot with the Minnesota Twins?
Yeah, I mean, I think they could win an AL East championship. I'm a lifelong Blue Jays fan. That's still, as far as a world championship, I think pitching wins you that. And I don't think when it comes playoff time, great hitters. I mean, pitchers throughout the season, they're saving their arms. They're not overthrowing their pitches all the time to get that extra out. Playoffs, it's different. You look at Bumgarner, it's, you get that extra level of pitching. Doesn't matter you're hitting, you need to have that pitching on your side to make up for it. And I'm not sure if they'll have it this year. I hope they make the playoffs, but I think they still need more pitching.
Pretty much, yeah. They need, because after Price now, you have a bunch of mediocre pitchers, and if you're not in the playoffs in your game 2, game 3, you can't keep pitching Price.
I don't know about mediocre, though. Because
The
you
way
have
they've been
guys
playing,
like,
it's mediocre.
But R.A. Dickey stepped up his game, and if he's got
Finally.
the knuckleball going,
Yeah.
he's one of the toughest guys. He won a Cy Young in 2012, much like David Price. Then you look at Mark Burley, another guy who's also been in Cy Young contention, a World Series champion. He's not a bad guy to have at a number 3 spot. 4, 5, yes, but you got 3 good starters there, and that's pretty much what can take you and help you in the playoffs. I thought their bullpen got a lot better, but you guys don't. I know you said they still got a little ways to go. But you don't see them as a title contender? Or
well, because even before they got Price, we would never have considered the Blue Jays title contender. Not with the pitching. You add Price, is one pitcher now going to make you that title contender, that world champion? I love the fact that they're now in a race. They're actually in a legit race now to not only get a wild card, but maybe in a division title. Let's start there before we go to they're going to be a world championship team, because there's a lot that has to go into it. One pitcher is not going to make you a great team, and adding all that offense to already what they have, that was never their problem. It was the pitching, and one pitcher is not going to change that. Great, and they added some depth, but
they did to the bullpen too.
I'd be worried what's going to happen in game 2 and game 3. That what if R.A. Dickey's not throwing great? What if Mark Burley's not throwing great? That's what you have to worry about. Great, you win game 1, but now you're going into game 4 and you're down 2-1. It's a whole different dynamic.
Yeah, especially with an ace, you're susceptible to bad games as well. So he's not a guarantee that he's going to win every single game he pitches. So you need those support guys to still have it. I don't know. I I still think defense wins championships, same as pitching. It's we'll see. I've been proven wrong before, though.
All right. Well, let's move on to this. Deflategate saga still continues in the NFL. It's a long going chorus. You've seen with the National Football League, Roger Goodell upholding the suspension, saying, you know what, we're going to keep it as it is for 4 games. The Patriots and Robert Kraft, who is the biggest ally of one Mr. Roger Goodell, the commissioner, says, you know what, I regret paying that fine. I regret giving all the trust to the National Football League. We're going to sue. Where does this leave now the legacy for, one, Roger Goodell, the National Football League, the Patriots, and, of course, the star that's in trouble and started this whole process, Tom Brady? How does this affect all their legacies?
I don't know. I don't think it does much, to be honest with you. Living in the States for a while now, people live and breathe football. I think there's always a little thing like that isn't going to change their viewpoint of a guy's success. I mean, the Patriots were already pretty hated, so I don't know if it's going to change much. It's blown up because of how big football is, but I don't think it's a big issue.
And can Roger Goodell's, can he be hurt anymore? He's already been killed already with the Ray Rice saga and the Adrian Peterson and everything else. Like, this to me is like, I actually applaud him for actually upholding something he actually put in place and not doubling back the way he has prior. So I'm good with him. And like I said, it's kind of blown out, especially in that Boston area is not going to die on the Patriots. They're going to still love that team to death. And I think if it hurts anyone, it hurts Brady by fighting this, because it makes it look bad on him, and especially when you're cheating. Like I said last week, cheating in the biggest of games, that's where I kind of maybe draw the line. It's going to hurt his legacy more. I don't even know why Kraft, just pay the fine and call it. That's a nothing to him, I think. But it's going to hurt Brady. Out of all those groups, Brady's going to hurt the most out of it.
How about another quarterback whose young legacy is starting to become that superstardom? Of course, if you look at Russell Wilson, what he's done with the Seahawks, 3 years of work, has gone to 2 Super Bowls, winning one and maybe should have won another, getting a 4-year deal that will go into effect next year worth $87.5 million, or $0.6 million, that is, making him the second highest paid quarterback in the NFL behind Aaron Rodgers, who everyone knows is considered the top quarterback in the National Football League. Is this enough money or fair enough assessment of where Russell Wilson is with his young body of work to be making what he is at this point, being behind Aaron Rodgers? Andrew?
No, not even. I think I can't understand it, because he's not top 10 in pretty much anything. If you look at his stats, he's not the guy that's winning for Seattle. I think it's their defense and their running is what's putting Seattle in the Super Bowl pictures. You need a quarterback, obviously, to run the show, but in terms of second most money, money's so hard when you're in the NFL, because it's so deflated based on a year and what you can do and what the team needs and what the players are going to do. Players have a little bit more, I guess, pull in what they can get in the NFL, because of they don't play long careers. They can just move on to somewhere else. So I have a big problem with the amount of money that they spent on a guy that's really not an elite level quarterback yet. I don't think
even though he's been to 2 Super Bowls, has helped this team. It's not like he has just sat there and let the offense or let the running back Marshawn Lynch take over. Even though he's been a great addition, Russell Wilson has been great. He has a fantastic arm, has been known to scramble and get the yardage he needs, to make the plays he needs to open things up for Marshawn Lynch. I think this is fair considering what he's done and what quarterbacks are paid. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to say I'm a huge football fan. I don't know as much as most people do, but I like the way he handles himself. I think he's a respectable pro athlete, and that's what you want. I think that shows more to me than numbers and whatnot when I'm looking at things like this. But I don't know. Football contracts are so strange. Very little guaranteed money usually. Short careers, and nothing but public scrutiny your whole life. You're in the spotlight, whether you play a 2, 3, or 1-year career like some guys do that are college stars. It's blown up. Football is it's probably us other sports is a pro athlete's worst nightmare, is to be in that situation. So it's I applaud those guys if they can get that money and because they deserve it. It's not an easy life.
That's fair enough. $50 million of that, by the way, guaranteed dollars for Russell Wilson, which has Andrew shaking his head.
I wish.
Well, we'll get to our next topic in a little bit, which is actually going to involve another goalie who had a bit of an arbitration ruling that went, I say so much in his favor, but they got something done, of course, Jonathan Bernier. So we'll have his case, see what this particular goalie has to say about him, and more coming up.